All
Boom.
right.
We're live. Just like that. Hey, we're a couple minutes late, but that's good for us, man. You know what I mean? It's only we're 20 minutes late from where I said. It's all good though. Hey, everybody out there, this was a last minute podcast, but we had to do one more live show, the last show of 2021 for the MMA Fight Pass Hammer Fist podcast. Archie, how you doing, man?
Hey, good, Tom. Thank you. Thanks everyone out there, for allowing us to have an amazing year, an amazing 5 years we've been at this and counting. We've interviewed a bunch of amazing people over the years, right, Tom? I mean, we've even
Oh,
interviewed champions before they were champions. Remember this one, Tom?
I do.
So Julia Pena was part of our in our podcast, and we were able to get her, uh, and it was so cool, But now she's a champion, right? And then who else have we had in the past? We've had old Randy Couture, right?
Oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah, and then
That
and
was
then of
one
course,
against Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man.
and the legends continue, right? We've been at this for a while. That now we're able to get the Can Shamrocks, the Julia Peñas, where she was a champion at one time, and then, or rather, going to be a champion right before she was a champion. And then who's the other? Oh, Mr. John Hackelman, right? So what do you think,
Chuck
Tom? I mean,
Liddell's cool.
we've had a bunch of stuff going on in the past, and we're going to continue this, man. What do you think?
Hey man, I can't thank you enough for getting me involved with this, Archie. I had always wanted to do a podcast, and just one day out of the blue, this gentleman gets a hold of me, Archie Tovar, my buddy right here, and asked me, "Hey, you want to do a podcast with me?" And I was so stoked, man, to meet you. And I want to thank Chris Ronquillo too, because I've known Chris Ronquillo for years. And if I didn't know Chris Ronquillo, I probably wouldn't have met you, bro. So big props out to Chris Ronquillo too, man. And this podcast has been something else for me. This has been like, you know what? It's really been something else doing this podcast. It's been like a mental therapy for me, bro. I'd be having the worst day or the worst week ever, and we do one of these podcasts and we get to talk to so many cool people. And man, after these podcasts, I feel so good. How about you, bro?
Yeah, and I bring up these pictures of our past podcasts, and this is why we do it, right? We get to meet so many cool people before they were champions again. Juliana Pena, I mean, how cool is that, right? And then, in addition to that, Tom, it's just the other local folks that we get to meet. We're always at the local events, and those are also amazing, right? We got 559 fights, Valley Fight Series, Tom. We got to remember that one. And then, MMA Fight Pass is doing their own thing, but we got a bunch of promotions out there that are really cool.
Hey, because of this podcast, we've been able to go backstage to all these promotions, and we get it. It's cool because we get to interview the fighters, and the main thing, the coolest thing for me is we're backstage at all these MMA events, professional jiu-jitsu events, kickboxing, boxing. I think it's great now. We get to interview the winners, losers. It doesn't matter. We're getting to interview these cool local dudes that are they're putting it on the line. They're going out there and competing. And man, it's been really something else. I got big props out for all those promoters out there that have allowed us to go into these shows. What has been your favorite show to go into, bro?
Only not only, but 559 Fights has been around for a long time, so they give us all a bunch of good memories, right? And so some of the good shows were from 559 Fights. My sons personally fought in that organization, and then that's at the amateur level, right? And then of course you got Valley Fight Series. Valley Fight Series throws some cool shows in Reedy, but then at the higher level. I really, really enjoyed Combate Americas, when they were coming to Fresno, or just their shows in general. We got to go to a couple shows in Los Angeles for Combate Americas, and you know, they're always good. And of course, Bellator, UFC. We were able to get a few guys from there. It's just hard to crack the doors and get into UFC right now, right? As a media company. But yeah, no, those are some of the highlights that I like to mention.
The cool thing is it took us some time to get established. And I didn't, I've known you now for like, it's going on 5 years, I believe. And the time has flown by, dude. I didn't realize it was 5 years that I've known you in 5 years that we've been at this, but we didn't give up and we kept doing it. And our guests, because of our time and our progress, our guests keep getting a little bit higher. And now we're starting to interview UFC fighters that are in it now. And like you said, man, we got Randy Couture. We had Kung Lee, a legend. Kung Lee, you guys can go back and, you can go back and watch these podcasts. The reason I wanted to do this show tonight is, not only are we spreading the word of what we're doing, but a lot of you guys are watching the shows, but I want you to know you can go back. If you go to Facebook and then go to MMA Fight Pass, then you go to the video segment, you can go back and watch any of these shows. And man, hey, that Kung Lee podcast was legendary. That guy, so cool. He told us a lot about his history, his life history growing up. And of course, he got into his fighting career, but oh man, it was something else doing Kung Lee. Randy Couture, man, is one of the coolest guys that I've ever met. Randy was one of my favorite fighters, coming up. When Randy was in UFC, I mean, everybody knows Randy Couture, but he's a legend in the sport of MMA. But when we got Randy on the show, man, he opened up to us too, right, Archie? He opened up with his life and his training.
Yeah, Randy was amazing. I mean, again, having been able to interview these guys from a high level, we get to meet them at the personal level as well, right? And Randy Couture, a lot of these guys have interviews like throughout their day, throughout their week, all these high level guys, right? The Beast just recently, we just got him on a podcast, or Tom got him on a podcast, and he was like an interview. He was for the UFC, right? He was on several interviews before he got on with us. So it's kind of interesting trying to schedule stuff, interviews, right?
Yeah, Chris. His name is Chris Beast Boy Barnett. He's an up and coming heavyweight in the UFC, and he was cool, man. I got a hold of him. I reached out to him, and not everybody that I reach out to will get back to you. A lot of these guys will probably get requests for podcasts daily. But Chris Beast Boy, I got a hold of him, and he got right back to me. And man, he checked out some of our shows, Archie, to make sure that we were legit. He wouldn't come on just right away. He went back and he saw that we did Ken Stramok and Randy Couture, and that's what sold him, I think. Once he saw those, he came on and he let me interview him. And man, that guy, he's invited us to go to his gym and check it out. Keep an eye out for that guy in UFC. I have a feeling that he's going to do big things in the UFC. He's an up and comer and he's really doing good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tom, talking about the UFC, just recently they had, there it is, the MMA, the World MMA Awards results, or awards. And I don't know if you heard or saw some of these results, though. It's kind of interesting. Just for everyone else out there, these awards just took place a few weeks ago, and Kamaru Usman here's some results. Kamaru Usman got Male Fighter of the Year. Brandon Moreno might have been the other guy you were talking about earlier, Tom, the champion. But these are some top level guys, right? What do you think about this choice?
I think they're all great choices, man. If you guys have watched MMA since way back in the early 90s, hey, I know you have, Archie, since UFC 1. Hey, how crazy is it that how MMA and martial arts have evolved from back then until now? It's really something else.
Oh, yeah. No, it really has been. The rules in particular. And what I like about the sport is that they keep it clean. USADA, people may complain about, what is it, enhancers but, not an advocate or, either way. But marijuana, I think that was being treated unfairly. A lot of people were being dinged by that, the Diaz brothers, for example. And now I think they're more loose on that, on that rule. Okay, but everything else for sure, the USADA, the cream or whatever, steroids or whatever else they use out there, right? So that has been a big change to where the sport's a lot cleaner. And that's why Kamaru Usman, I don't know if you heard, Tom, this dude won a freaking, like a Letterman's jacket from USADA, and it fucking was a golden Letterman's jacket from USADA because he had 50 clean tests in a row, wherever the hell he was, 50 clean tests.
Hey, and you know what? I've heard everybody out there on podcasts and people on the streets, they all, when he wins a fight, everybody thinks, oh, he's on steroids, he's shooting up testosterone. Hey, because he has a body, he has a legit body. You know what I mean? Hey, and he's a
Yeah.
stud when he gets in the ring. But like you just said, how many 50 in a row?
50 in a row, 50 USADA tests in a row that were negative. Probably more than that by now, because this dude's the real deal. I don't think this dude's going to lose in a while until, he's badass. That's the athlete, right? That's the elite level right there.
Hey, do you have a picture of that jacket or what?
Of what? Oh, the jacket.
Yeah.
I'll have to look for it. Yeah, let me look for it. But now, we have some female fighters, female fighter of the year, and that list is down here. Uh, why does this? I guess Mackenzie Dern. I thought no, Rose was the winner. Yeah, I said, wait a minute, I thought Rose was the winner. So Rose is the winner. Rose Namajunas is the winner of the female fighter of the year, and
She
these were
got
the other.
You got number one, huh?
Yeah, number one, she's the winner. Rose just beat back to back that Chinese girl. What the heck? Ying Ying? I forgot her name.
I'm not going to say her name. I'll murder it.
Yeah, I just did. Rose, right? Valentina Chichenko, she's badass. She keeps running over everybody.
Hey, she's like top on my list for sure, man. Valentina.
Yeah. And the breakthrough fighter of the year is this Mr. And this is a name we could, chop up for sure. I wouldn't even want to pronounce. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Brandon Moreno won. But to be on the list, Brandon Moreno won. Oh, wait,
Hey, but what about? I want to hear you pronounce that name, bro.
Chesmet Shimavin. I don't know. But this guy is part of the group of the Dagestan, the Dagestan group out there with, oh my gosh, 38-0.
38-0. And who is his coach?
No,
Who's his
that
training?
guy.
Mention the training
Habib.
Yeah.
Habib. He's part of Khabib's team, or Habib, and he's badass. There's a few of Dagestan fighters in the Bellator also, and those dudes are kicking ass. Anyhow, Brandon Moreno won. He was a breakthrough fighter of the year, and deservedly so, man. He had a crazy battle recently on his. Did he have a rematch? And he won his rematch also, didn't he, for the belt?
Yes. He's really something else. That Khabib's guy, though, is a guy that I've had my eye on for some time. And I think you have to agree that part of the reason those guys are doing so well is that as they train with Khabib every day.
The grind in and out every day, and it's just such an amazing high level of training. And I've actually watched some Dagestan videos of the kids training in their training camps and their backgrounds, and like the 45-minute documentary. And these guys are the true real deal from the little kids. They have like boarding houses, you know what I mean? And that's what it's about. Bottom line, boarding houses.
They have boarding houses, and they'll take these kids in that don't have anything else going on in life, and maybe not have anything else to do if it wasn't for this. Hey, and they bring those kids in, and they give them a place to stay, they give them food to eat, and they give them the training that they need. And if they're willing to put in the work and the time and the effort, there's no telling what those kids could become in the future. I see a lot of champions coming out of there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a lot of countries are doing that. I think China, Mexico, they have a lot of, just everybody globally, people are realizing that they need to have some sort of school, boarding house, training, and that's just the way you become elite, and just try to make it that way. So we got the international.
You got any
international
pictures of stuff?
Oh, say again?
You got any pictures of this?
No, let's see what comes up. I think what's just going to come up is the fighter himself, his stats. No, no, not yet. We'll find some. International Fighter of the Year, Israel Adesanya.
Another awesome guy right there.
Israel and Robert Whittaker are going to have a rematch. It's been announced. Did you hear about that?
Hey, and what about Charles Oliveira? Talk about him a minute.
Yeah, Charles Oliveira, he actually got mentioned here. He got mentioned in the Male Fighter of the Year. Well, that dude just ended up beating Poirier. I mean, and before that, he ended up beating high caliber. Like 5 fights Well, I think Charles Oliveira, he was like on a 8-win streak. I mean, something ungodly like that. Charles Oliveira.
Did you watch
145.
that fight with him and Poirier?
I did. I did. It was a good fight, but Charles is who was saying that his jujitsu is just kind of, I mean, obviously that was probably his first sport that he learned, but he's
Yeah.
doing submissions in MMA. Heck.
Hey, and nowadays to pull off a submission in MMA, you have to be something else because, hey, Poirier is not just a guy. You know, he knows jujitsu and grappling as well, very well. What do you think led up to that submission, though, Archie?
Well, it's just technique, and he was just kind of running through this really nicely, his maneuvers, and he just snapped into that choke and got it. He's just a great guy. Um, and you know what, Tom? I wanted to mention your fight of the year. So we also have some fights of the year, and the winner for the fight of the year was Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueroa. There you go.
And those guys fought twice, you said?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I believe twice or once. But this is yeah. This has. Oh, you know what? I think they fought twice in the same year. Yeah, but the
That's
first
crazy.
fight was amazing.
They're both fights great, and to come back and do it again is really something else.
Yeah,
Hey, what
exactly.
about Juliana Pena and that fight she had for that title?
Yeah, that fight. It was amazing. The first round. It was just so cool to see Juliana Pena stay in the pocket and resist and take all those punches and handle all that. You know what I mean? Juliana Pena really. Uh, I want to say gutted it out, but she was just tough as hell, and mentally she was physically ready, and mentally especially, right? Because you ain't gonna stay there and exchange punches with someone. But I guess at that level, that is expected, right? But no, yeah, she had an amazing, amazing, amazing fight. Yeah,
An amazing showing, and against a legit fighter, Amanda Nunes, which, hey, you know, a lot of people, if they were betting money that night, they probably put money on Amanda and lost their money that night. But Amanda too, you know, even if she lost that fight, who cares? Her career has been something else, dude. She's another person that's really something special. And way back in the day, Archie, when we first started watching MMA, you didn't see the women fights like you do now. But now, hey, these women, man, they're right up there with the guys with the technique and the level of technique and the heart that they show. It's really something else, man. How martial arts has changed and evolved, and I just didn't see this back in the '90s. I didn't see this coming. You know, when I saw UFC 1 through 4, you know, I fell in love with the sport, but I had no idea that here in 2021 it would be like what it is today. I mean, what about you, Archie? What's the
yeah.
biggest difference that you see in MMA from way back then?
I just think the technique that they've come out with, to be able to, okay, for example, wrestlers back in the day, that was their better bread and butter. Yeah, sure, they knew how to punch, but still they just kept going. Couture, even though he knew how to punch before Couture, you had a bunch of old school wrestlers. Okay, so now fast forward to today, going back to Kamaru Usman. I mean, Kamaru Usman, he's a freaking D1 wrestler, and and he's wrestled, at top level for 4 years, and now he rarely uses it, right? Because he's become such a striker and kicking people's butt, stand-up game,
Yes.
and if he needs to, who was it? His last fight, Chandler? No. So his last fight, oh no, it was a rematch, and he won that rematch against Mr. America. What the hell's his name? Anyways, uh, so Mr. Usman just going up against another D1 fighter, totally just controlled him throughout the whole fight again. He got his defense was his sprawling defense, takedown defense was amazing. So the difference nowadays is, I would say, is that a lot of the wrestlers are learning how to strike and just striking and and really kicking ass that way. And, uh, and that's what I guess makes the fights exciting, right? If you can do some good striking, and if you have to defend on the ground, or you don't have to depend on the ground if you got some good striking sometimes. But if you got both, like Kamaru Usman, I think that's what makes him amazing.
Yeah, and what I've heard from like people that train with him is, hey, when they're in the training room with him, like black belts that have rolled with him, everybody says he's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have to show it in the fights because, like you said, hey Albert, Big Al Gonzalez, Happy New Year's, brother.
Hey, respect, Al. Happy New Year, brother.
When people tune in, we gotta say hi. And Big Al, that's a local guy that we got a lot of respect for. Happy New Year's, brother. I hope you have a safe night out there. And Albert, man, I hope you have a great 2022. I got a feeling all of us, this is going to be a tremendous year, man. It's going to be a great year for everybody. We're getting out of this. Last year's been kind of crazy, right, Archie, with the whole COVID thing and all this drama.
It really has, and these athletes that are high-level athletes are out there trying to, get a fight, get some money, and try to, get their name on the map. And they've been struggling to do so, but there's been a few shows. And luckily, LFA came through the Valley, Visalia, and gave some pro guys a chance to fight. But a lot of these pro guys, man, they're having to go. Man, I'm not sure where they're going. I mean, there's some pro fights out there, but very, very rare do you hear about them, especially in California. So thanks, shout out to LFA for bringing something to Fresno. Big Al's out there fighting where he can. That's amazing, and he's keeping busy. Everybody's keeping busy.
Yeah, hey man, and Big Al, he's had his ups and downs, but hey, just like life for any of us, hey, hard times come and hard times pass. And in MMA, a hard time can come in the worst possible way: a broken leg, a busted head. And some guys, when they get that broken leg or the busted head, something tells them, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. And they stop doing it. But Al, hey, he went through a straight broken leg, healed up, went back into training. Hey, and he's got another fight coming up, right? He's getting ready right now.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's that's definitely amazing. If being able to do that, right? I mean, being able to come back with the resilience of wanting to get another fight. So hats off to everybody that does that. There's a few people that can do that. Not everybody does that, right?
Not everybody can do it. And Matt, hey, our local Valley scene, it was a bummer for a while. Like you said, the fights are hard to come by. For the professional scene, anyways, hey, there's another guy tuning in, Jacob Jeff, another legend in the Valley. Hey.
Man, respect, Jacob.
Yes. Hey, I have a ton of respect for Jacob Jeff. Hey, since the early days fighting out at Tachi Palace in Lemoore, Jacob Jeff, he was actually a coach for one of the guys that I had to fight. Hey, and those guys, the Indian guys out there, hey, even if you're fighting them, they're always respectful, and win, lose, or draw. Those guys, Jacob always had respect, man. For anybody, as long as you show respect to Jacob and those guys, he shows respect to you. So, yeah, a lot of love for you, Jacob Jeff, and hopefully one day Tachi Palace will get it going again, guys. That was one of my favorite fight scenes, from the past. And right now, the pro scene, like you said, LFA brought it. But most of all, what we've been seeing here is the amateur shows, right, Archie? The amateur MMA shows are big right now.
Yeah, no, there definitely are, and there's a lot of opportunities for those guys. And so that's what's keeping the MMA scene busy. I'm thinking, Mr. Jacob Jeff, hopefully one day, and Tachi Palace one day can come back and hold a professional, MMA match, right? And I'm thinking some casinos out there will do it. Las Vegas, of course, right? But we're just waiting for something to happen. 2022, we're hoping for that to be the year.
It is going to be the year. Hey, man, and you know what?
Uh-oh. Huh.
And we had a little freeze. It's all good. MMA Fight Pass, though, we started with this podcast, and me and Archie would also go to shows, and we would be backstage, and we would interview fighters. But, Archie's a guy, that likes to keep on going and doing new things. And I didn't know how this was going to turn out. I even had my doubts, Archie, but Archie said, "Hey, you know what? I just bought a cage, and we're gonna start doing MMA shows." And I was like, "Oh man, this is okay." Hey, we just had our first MMA show, boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, all wrapped in one day. Hey, it was a success, man. We learned some stuff, and we're gonna grow from it. Talk a little bit about that, bro. What got in your mind to do this?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's been something that we've all had in us, right? We've been talking and just wanting to build this program that we have of MMA Fight Pass, and one thing just led to another as far as meeting people and doing events, and I'm in the computer industry, right? And so the technology is always number one in my life, and in any business that you do, you can use technology, right? Um, so I figured, why not try to do some MMA events and you know all these types of MMA events and include and incorporate the technology so that more to kind of get it out there in the world, right? I mean, right now, live streaming, internet, it's not going to go nowhere, not going to go anywhere. It's going to get bigger, it's going to get faster, and there's going to be more opportunities. And they're out there now. So those that want to start a podcast, those that want to do stuff streaming, it's not late. But right now we got a good team, and because of the team, there's another technology guy that's pretty strong on the team, James Gilliland. And we all have our niche and what we bring to the team, and and then, like I said, one thing led to another, and here we go. We've had Muay Thai shows, we have a Jiu-Jitsu show, we've had boxing show, uh, and talking about shows, we have some up and coming shows as well, uh, and so we're going to continue doing it, huh? Heck yeah. And then I'm glad to, the team, right? So Chris Ronquillo, you mentioned Chris Ronquillo earlier. Chris Ronquillo is like the triple OG, the first guy that you know came up to me and said, "Hey man, let's do this radio show." And I told Chris, I think they're called podcasts, Chris, but let's do a podcast. And by that time, we already had MMA Fight Pass. We were already doing stuff with Manuel Grijalva, OG. And then we just moved on and started the podcast. And to this day, Chris Ronquillo, we still communicate and talk about this every day. Uh, and then the other people, that we got is Xavier, James, Isaac. Now we got
Name them off. Name them off, because those guys, hey, even though it's
yeah, no,
usually
definitely.
me and you on the podcast, but we couldn't have done all this stuff without them. Name off the names of all these people, brother.
Yeah, no,
Caitlin
definitely.
Victoria.
Yeah, so Caitlin Gregoria, she's actually doing a podcast every Friday with James Gilliland, our other producer. So they're both like diehards on the Friday podcast, from the mainstream MMA mainstream podcast that they're doing. And then Xavier Ortega and John Carlton, they're travelers. They travel with us at all the shows, and they're like, they're there for us. You know what I mean? And then Chris O'Keel, we call him part of the board now. He's just a mentor at this point, right? He's just mentoring us and giving us some good direction. And of course, Tom Owens, another producer of his own shows, also with MMA Fight Pass. So that was cool. We're all evolving. Shit, Tom. Now you're able to do your own shows, bring up guests, and that's how it should be. Everybody should be able to to use the platform. So it's amazing.
Yeah, hey man, and I couldn't have did it without you, bro. Like we started doing these podcasts, and me and you would do it with the guests. And I've always wanted to do my own show. And, I didn't have the technology part to do this stuff. I could barely drag and click on the internet. Use Facebook. But Archie and James, they both, they talked to me and they taught me how to do it. You guys walked me through it. Hey, and like you said, like now, hey man, I have contacts in Brazil with the Gracie family. I'm making contacts with UFC fighters, or Xavier Ortega right there. Hey, Xavier, hello. He's tuning in. Xavier Ortega, I've known probably, man, 15 years or so, but he's a different student of mine, and he's more like a brother, Archie.
Yeah.
Xavier, I could call Xavier any time of the day or night if I was in trouble. Hey, and that guy will come. Hey, this last year, a lot of you guys know I had I had a seizure while riding a bike. I had a horrible accident, and I woke up in the hospital. You know what I mean? And you know who I woke up to? I woke up to Archie and Xavier sitting right there by my bed. Hey, dude, you know
Right?
what? Hey, I think about that all the time, man. Hey, bro, I got a lot of love for you guys, man. You know how good that made me feel to wake up to you guys right there by my bed, bro. It's
Yeah, no, I remember that.
I'm
It was awesome.
serious. Hey, you, you guys were there. Even some of my family members didn't make it, but you two guys were there. So yeah,
Family. We're a
Hey
different
man,
kind of
I got
family.
a lot of love for you guys, man. For just a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
no,
love, bro.
definitely.
Xavier will always be there for us with this show, regardless of what we're doing. He doesn't ask for money. He don't ask for anything. He just likes to be involved and he likes to help us out, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, Tom, you were talking about your experiences about being able to interview different people now on your own, and then as a group, and then as a big group. So, how's what are some of your best experiences in interviewing people, or the
Well,
guests, or whomever, or
you know,
any being part of it?
some of my best experiences by far are interviewing our local people. They're even, some of them people may not have heard of or whatever, but our local people are the reason that we started this show. You know what I mean? We wanted to put our locals on the map, and you know what I mean? We wanted to give props to the locals. It kept building and working up. One of my big shows, though, a bigger name, was that Chris Beast Boy from the UFC. You know what I mean? I reached out to him, and I didn't know if I'd be able to get a UFC fighter on the show like that. You know what I mean? Just like on the show like that. So that was cool. One of my greatest experiences, Archie, though, have been with me and you. You know, one of the greatest experiences, Randy Couture, is one I'll never forget, man.
Yeah,
Kung Lee, a legend. Um,
right.
those two guys are probably two of the biggest ones for me. You know what I mean? What about yourself? Ken Shamrock is another one.
Shamrock, yeah, yeah. No, you're naming them all right there, Tom. Amazing experiences, and you know what? Something we didn't talk about that we're going to have to do in 2022 is more inside the dojos, right? We had the visits, and those were amazing to be able to visit. And then we have so many places that we can visit in 2022. You know who I'm eager to go visit is Mr. Batata.
Yeah. Hey, and these guys. Let's talk about inside the dojo because some of you guys maybe haven't seen inside the dojo where you can go back and watch these shows, right, Archie?
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're all out there on our YouTube channel.
They're on our YouTube channel, and if you go to Facebook, MMA Fight Pass, and go to the videos, you can find them. Anyhow, inside the dojo was an idea that me and Archie both came up with. I think I might have been the one that came up with the name.
I
I'm
think
just
so.
kidding. I think Archie did. Anyhow, uh, I didn't see hardly anything like this out there, before it. But what it is me and Archie, we reach out to the senseis or the instructors at these schools, and we ask them if we can come and check out a class and join it, and we'll videotape and we'll get interviews, and basically we're giving those schools advertisement. You know what I mean? We're giving them props. But it's so cool, Archie, because we've gone to, I don't
Oh
know how
yeah.
many we've gone to, but we've been to some really cool dojos. And man, we go into these spots, they welcome us onto the mat, and we get to do the class, we get to join in, we learn technique, and then we get to interview like the top fighters, and we get to interview the coaches. And what is bit what I don't even there's an idea of one. We've done a lot of locals, but now um, we've interviewed such high level people. We've been invited by all these people, man. We've got
Right.
invites by John Hackelman, Chuck Liddell's coach, Batata. He's one of the Gracie.
Tara.
He's a black belt under Ralph Gracie, out of Gracie, Baja. He has a school in San Francisco. Batata Santiago. He's the master of the loop choke, Archie. He's the loop
I
choke
know.
guy.
We need to go over those moves again in class, Tom. Those loop chokes are off the hook.
They're awesome. They're sick, bro. Crosley Gracie is a guy that I had the honor to train with for a couple years. Ralph Gracie brought his family member Crosley Gracie brought him here to California, And right away, Crosley opened his own school. Well, me and Luis Gonzalez, Luis Speedy Gonzalez, he's another local. We started training with Crosley, and there's Tom Knox right there. You know, we went to a league. There's another local legend, Tom Knox. Hey, but Crosley Gracie, we got an invite to go train with Crosley's school. That would be, hey, that guy is something else too. These Gracies, Horion Gracie, Archie, Horion Gracie, Hoist Gracie's older brother. He's a legend of the Gracie family. You could go back and watch that podcast. We interviewed him. He gave us a lot of knowledge. You know, he talked a lot of history. Hey, but he gave us a lot of life knowledge, right, Archie?
He really did, you know, and he talked about the struggles and you know, even back in the day. I mean, he was with Health Grace. That's your story more than mine. I mean, because you got to train with Health or out there in Northern California, and he has a connection, right?
Yeah. Well, me and Luis, back in those days, Archie, there was no black here in the valley. There wasn't a black belt yet in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The highest rank of guys around here was a blue belt. It was quite a bit different. So Luis, you know, Luis always wanted to hit that next level. Luis Speedy. Hey, so Luis just started driving up there. You know, he drove up to the Half Racing School once, and he tells me, he says, "Hey, man, I work all night, but if you do the driving, Tom, you can come with me, and I'll get you in this class. And so you do the driving, and I'll sleep, and we'll get to Half Races and we'll train." Hey, right away, man, I jumped in on it. So twice a week, me and Luis, I would drive, and he would sleep the whole way up, and we would get to Half Gracie school. Hey, and man, that night was nothing but killers, bro. Super nice guys, though. Hey, Half Gracie was really something else. He was from the Gracie Baja side.
Right.
And Horion Gracie. Yeah, Horion is from the Gracie Humeda side. So they're the same family, but they're different sides of where they train out in Brazil. Slightly different. Okay. Same family, but it's hard to explain, but the mentality is a little different on each side of those.
Yeah, well, this is what we want to do right there, like we're doing with Ashley Thinner. You know, you're interviewing her, we go to the gym, we get some workouts, and I'm really looking forward to going to Southern California because I know when we go to LA, it's just going to be not one stop. We're going to have like 4 or 5 stops, and you know, we got to schedule that time. We need to definitely go out there.
Hey, well, now that this COVID crap is coming to an end, hey, I believe we can start doing that again here soon, dude. And we have so many invites now, man. Hey, I've met 2 Gracie family members in Brazil from doing this podcast. Okay, and recently a legend, Helsing Gracie. He's the oldest brother of Hoist Gracie. And this guy is like 77 years old. Hey, and if I had the money to do it today, I would take you. Carlin Gracie, they're both. We've got an invite to go stay at Carlin Gracie's house, bro.
In Rio and in the favelas.
Hey, can you imagine staying at that Gracie brother's house, dude, and then going to his dojo with him? Hey, and learning right from him for free, man.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Those are amazing opportunities that we've been able to get offered, right?
Hey, but before that, we got to finish up these local dojos, bro. We got a bunch of them, man.
Yeah, we do. The last one we just recently visited was Joe Soto, and this is Joe Soto's old gym. This was one of the older dojo visits we did, but Javi Ayala.
Another local legend right there. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe Soto, too, another local legend, you know, that made it far, all the way to the UFC, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And right there, Jim Encida's Jim is the striking coach for pretty much the Porterville Boxing Club or the Porterville Dojo that Joe Soto has. So Jim's been around for a while.
Yeah, he's a coach that's trained a lot of these locals and helped them get far. Our next one, one of the podcasts we just had was with Mike Moreno and Ralph Alvarado. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, at Dethrone in Fresno, correct?
Yes.
Now, they've asked me a couple times already, and we got to do this one next, I believe, bro. They want us to do that inside the dojo there pretty bad.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, as long as we schedule it, we definitely got to do that. I mean, this is what it's all about here. Kicking back, sitting down with the fighters, and having an inside the dojo conversation, right?
Look at that legend right there, Doug Marshall from the Valley.
Hell yeah.
Not the legend with the microphone. That's one legend, but the other guy.
Oh, the other guy. All right, let's get that straight.
Let's get it.
Yeah, Tom. Hey, this is amazing, man. I mean, it's we got a good amount of time into this podcast. This is great, but you know what that means? That there's so much to talk about, so much to cover, just so much that we've gone through and being able to experience together. And individually now you get getting your own segment. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
Hey, I call it my own show, but I'm always representing MMA Fight Pass.
But yeah, it's a Tom Owens podcast, HAMMERFIST podcast with MMA Fight Pass.
A day in the life with Tom Owens, bro.
We need to do that.
Hey, man. I don't want to forget, dude, to give props to these people and these sponsors, all right? So,
yeah, let's do that for sure.
Yeah, while we're on here, guys, we've had a lot of people help us out with this show, and along the way, we've taken on different ventures like the MMA fights, the boxing, the jiu-jitsu. One of the ventures I've taken on with our Farmersville friends, Team KO, with Danny Valdovinos, is he got a hold of me recently and he said, hey, what Danny does over there, Archie, he has a program that's called Leave No Kid Behind. Okay, it's in Farmersville, California. Now, one thing it is, it's basically free martial art training for kids. Okay, and they're kids that are, could be less fortunate. And, if it wasn't for this program, they probably couldn't afford to train at a martial arts school. You know what I mean? So Danny started the program, and he got a hold of me and says, hey, you want to teach a jiu-jitsu class at this program? Hey, I jumped on it, and, it's a trip. Every time I tell somebody about this, Archie, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, how much are you getting paid to teach those kids? Hey, and I tell them gladly and happily, I'm not getting paid for it. I've been offered money, from people. But you know what? Money is not everything, man, for me. It's money isn't everything, guys. I get so much joy out of seeing the smile on these kids' faces. Hey, and I get to pass on something that I put a lot of my life into, Archie. Martial arts and jiu-jitsu is probably something I put more time in than any other thing I've done in my life. I've done a lot of things: skateboarding, snowboarding, BMX racing, so much things, man. Running, marathons, ultra marathons, biking. But jiu-jitsu and MMA, I've put more time into that than anything. So this free children's program, guys, it's on Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. in Farmersville. You can go. Anybody can go if they want to get their child in. And even if you train at a different school, Archie, you can bring your kid over, to get some rolls and check it out. Hey, and spread the word because it's growing quick, man. And the reason I brought that up is because I've had so many people reach out to me, Archie, and donate stuff.
Right.
Gym equipment, but the main thing I needed, Archie, was gis, jiu-jitsu gis. And hey, almost every local jiu-jitsu school here in the Valley has reached out and offered to give me gis. Even Eddie Aguirre from MMA Fight Pass, or no, what's his store called?
Oh, MMA Gear. Visalia MMA Gear.
Yes, Visalia MMA Gear. I think that's it. Anyhow, Eddie Aguirre, he's an old school friend. He even reached out with brand new gis, bro. Brand new gis for these kids. And one of the guys that I give a lot of props, he was the first guy to hit me up. Hey, and he gave me some, not cheap gis. These are like some $200 gis. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's the owner of Pokerito here in Visalia. David,
yeah.
Okay, he trains at Elite Team Jiu-Jitsu here in Visalia. Hey, I didn't even know the guy personally, man. I guess he had watched he knows you though. Hey, but he reached out. Hey, I went and met the guy, and man, dude, I can't give that guy enough thanks, man. They're like brand new gis, bro. Brand new top dollar gis. Hey, and he wants to give me more. I told him, hey, that's cool, man. Anyhow, how do you say his last name, Arch?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was just Kim, Kim, David. And I'm not sure exactly what the full last name is. Yeah, but I just know David Percorito. He's down here at on the ticker board. As far as sponsors, he is at the bottom after Delano, after Venom. David Percorito, you can find him, or David Percorito, David at Percorito, Visalia. There it is, Visalia. You can find him on Facebook. I'm sure he has a website, but it's Pokerito Visalia, facebook.com /
And,
Pokerito Visalia.
and if you don't know what it is, it's basically, a lot of you guys know what poke bowls are. Hey, it's health food. He's got a lot of different stuff in there, though. He's got cooked. It's not all raw fish. There's cooked foods too. Anyhow, super healthy and really delicious stuff. He just opened up a new store too in Tulare, so I want to give him props. You know what I mean? He's one of our sponsors. Delano Chevrolet is one of our big sponsors. They helped us out on our last MMA show. Talk about Delano Chevrolet a bit, Arch.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a gentleman, Frankie at Delano Chevrolet, and they're big into MMA. They have an actual nephew that's competing in MMA, and here's their website, Delano Chevrolet. So they have a nephew from Bakersfield. His name is not Frankie, Rafael Jimenez, and he won his last fight. So Delano they sponsors for the last show. They're going to sponsor us for the next show. They brought out a car out there to the event. So if anybody's nearby Delano or Bakersfield or anywhere in California, call up Delano Chevrolet. They can hook you up with a car.
Yeah, and they got the deals too. They got beautiful vehicles. Another guy I want to give a shout out to, he's a sponsor of ours, is
Venom Drip.
Venom Drip. If you don't know, they're mainly a clothing line, right, Archie? But they also have other MMA gear, right?
Right. They're maybe a clothing line, and combat sportswear is what they're called, right? And one of our local guys is actually right there. Well, he just passed. Oh, there's another local gal. That's Zeal. These are Venom Drip fighters, if you will.
Hey, can you go back? That's Anthony Torres right there, correct?
Yeah, that's Anthony.
That's one of our students from Team KO where I teach right there.
Yeah. And then here's some of the gear that he sells: latest products, hats, beanies, women clothing, man, bunch of cool stuff. We just talked to him recently. We talked to him at the Team KO toy drive.
Yeah. Hey, that's a very cool guy right there. You know what I mean? If you get that guy to sponsor you, you got a good guy on your side right there. Very cool guy.
Yep.
It's even as I consider these sponsors too, guys. Archie, Tom Knox, he's the owner and the head instructor of Elite Team Visalia. But Tom Knox, I've known him since my when I was a white belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He was also a white belt, but I've known him and trained with him way back in the day. He's another local guy that never stopped, kept evolving, kept growing and growing and growing. Well, now he has his own school, his own business, and he's probably got more black belts than most guys do under him. There's a picture. That's not even half of the street. That's a good picture. But anyhow, Tom has promoted quite a few people, but he only allows certain people to do this. But if you're a consistent and a legit, respectful guy, he'll let you open up a school. You know what I mean? In other towns, and he's letting a good handful of guys, man, open up other schools and be under that elite team. Michael Martinez in Lemoore. Right?
Yeah.
I can't even name all the schools, man. There's a bunch of them, though. You probably know quite a few of them.
Yeah, no, there definitely is a bunch. And then, of course, you have the Elite Team Selma.
And who is that? Selma. That was the handsome guy that's right next to me on the screen.
Hey, let me show you here. Yeah, no, definitely. Elite Team Selma. We've been with Tom I've been with Tom for about 10 years. Isaac Morales, our instructor, giving some stood at the belt right there. He's been with Tom for about 8 years. And then these are just some of the pictures of our club, our kids. So Elite Team Visalia. And then you got an Elite Team Fresno, Elite Team Clovis. And Tom's doing some good stuff, man. Showing,
Hey, there's one. There's an elite team in Porterville. There's one over at the coast with I forget his name, but he's a cool ass dude that's from here in the valley too. I know way too many people, man. This head's been hit a couple times too, so I'll murder names, brother. Anyhow, I consider him as like a sponsor because he'll let me go in there and train anytime for free. You know what I mean? If I want to go in there and if I just want some mat time. That's not my home school, but I can go into any class and I can get the training. The other places I want to give a shout out to our local jiu-jitsu gyms because of this podcast, me and Archie are welcome to go to any of these places. And I recommend anybody out there training, even if you have a home gym, it's okay to go and visit these other places, right, Archie? You can have a home gym, guys, and there's nothing handcuffing you to that place that won't allow you to go, to an open mat and go try something, maybe learn a different technique. Dethrone MMA is one of them.
Yep. There's a lot of schools out there.
Yes, with our good buddy Mike Moreno and Ralph Alvarado. Hey, Vitruvian Martial Arts right here in Visalia with Mark Dela Cruz. Another old school guy right there. With Mark
for a while.
Yep, and then we also have Trifecta with an ex-UFC woman, Marion Renault, another OG right there.
Take a look at this one. Remember this?
There she is right there. I got to do an interview with her. We were honored to go into her school. That's when she was still in the UFC. And, hey, man, I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous to go in there. You know what I mean? That was my first UFC fighter interview right there.
Yeah, that we gave her an award that day. I don't know if you remember. We gave her an award. We had our own MMA Fight Pass award show. Like, what is it? 2-3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now.
Yes.
And we wanted to make that a yearly thing, but then COVID hit, and then stuff happened, and we never got to do that again because hopefully 2022 we're able to do our own MMA Fight Pass end of the year awards. Right? This is an end of the year podcast, but we need to make it into what we did before.
Look, I mean, this is the end of the year podcast. I'm really glad that we did it. You know what I mean? But yes, we're going to get back into doing Inside the Dojo, the awards. And we have our own business going with this MMA fights, cage fight, boxing, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu all wrapped into one day. You know what I mean? I don't know a lot of people doing that. It's challenging, Archie. Hey, but I see this growing big time. You know what? You asked me earlier what is one of the coolest experiences that I've got from this. I'll tell you guys, and you guys might think it's silly. A lot of people do. Hey, it was always something that I saw on TV and I wanted to do, but you gave me the chance and the opportunity to be a ring announcer, brother.
That was nice.
Hey, that's one of the funnest, coolest things that I've done, man, since I started doing this. Hey, and I'm not being cocky or anything like that. I'm not talking myself up, but the coolest thing is I had people from the California Athletic Commission and several coaches come up to me and tell me, hey, you know what? You did really good, and if you do certain things, you can actually make a living from doing this. And I don't know if it'll go that far, but I'm definitely going to keep pursuing it, though. What do you think about that?
Yeah. No, I think the opportunities are tremendous, in the MMA industry to do what you wanted to do and for us what we wanted to do. And then, individually and then together as a company also, you know what I mean? Hell yeah, the opportunities are there.
It's something else. Hey, the other people, we're getting to be almost an hour. This is one of our longest shows, big dog. Hey.
And you know what? It doesn't even feel like it because of the camaraderie, the material, the experience, the fan, the people out there, Jacob Jeff, Albert Gonzalez, Big L, Xavier Ortega, all these folks that are out there watching. Carlin, I'm sure Carlin is probably going to be watching here soon. But
hey, did I ever tell you about the time when Jacob Jeff, after we fought his team like 30 times. I fought one of his guys twice, and with one win and a loss, and with a jiu-jitsu technique he was using against his team. Well, Jacob Jeff is one of those coaches that hey, he kept learning and evolving himself. Well, he came into my school like way after our fights were taking place, and hey, that dude came in to my school and heel hooked me, bro.
Dang it.
Hey, I'm
What do you
serious,
do?
man. That's why I give him such props because he was obviously went out and learned that ground game. You know what I mean?
Right.
I got a lot of love for Jacob Jeff, a lot of props, dude. And
This is Jacob's second home right there, Tachi Palace.
yes, Tachi Palace, guys. If you want to get some good slot machines in, a little gambling, that's a good. Hey, and they don't smoke inside there, which is a nice little thing to have on top of it all.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Hey,
Well,
you know
yeah.
what? They got a good restaurant out there too, with some good sushi. If we need to go check out Big G.
That's it. We need to get Jacob on the phone. Hey, so
Yeah.
you were saying, so Jacob Jeff, you've rolled with him before too, then?
Yeah. Hey, well, I remember when I fought this guy the first time to put the guy in a triangle armbar, and I won that match. Well, he went back to the drawing board and trained for me, and came back, and we fought again, and then he beat me. And and me and this guy, Tony Alanis, we actually became really good friends after this. And like I said, those Indian guys, you could fight them, win, lose, or draw. If you show them respect, you know, they're super cool people. But I became friends with Jacob, you know, from all the way back then. And it was maybe 5-8 years later that he came into my school that time. And he rolled up not just me, he rolled up a few of my the main guys in my gym that day. It was really something else. Right.
Hey, well, Tom, let's just kind of close it up, and we'll have our big sponsor there as we're closing. Just to kind of again thank Mr. Frankie at Delano Chevrolet, thank Claudia at Delano Chevrolet. You know, thank a lot of people there, and you know, thank you, Tom. You know, we'll talk to you probably after we get off this podcast, but we'll see you next year.
Oh yeah, let me just say a couple more things before we close it down. Well, I gotta thank one more thing, and that's my family, man. My mom has been one of my biggest mentors in life, and I wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for her. And she watched the show. And my brothers and my sisters, they're always there for me. So my family, a lot of love. My dad, he passed on this last year. Rest in peace to him. He was always behind us too. And just thanks. Hey, I want to thank everybody out there, man, that has watched the show. Whether you liked it, hated it, gave us a minute of your time. Thank you. You know what I mean? I really appreciate it. And I thank Archie and Chris Ronquillo big time. Okay. And I'll keep rambling. Hey, it's New Year's Eve, guys. The last night of 2021. Salute. I know a lot of people, you know, you guys are going to go out and party or do whatever, go downtown and drink. Hey, whatever you do, man, go out there and be careful. Stay out of trouble. Don't drink and drive. Hey, nowadays you don't have to drink and drive, right? You can get an Uber or you can get a whatever the other one's called, Instacar, Instaride.
Instagram, something.
Yeah. Hey, just be safe, guys. You know what I mean? Every year there's always too many wrecks. Don't be one of those jackasses that go to the bars and get in a fight with some guy because you do some training. You know what I mean? Just be cool with everybody. Let's go into this next year, Archie, with just a lot of love and happiness and joy, man. That's what I got to say. And hey, happy New Year's Eve, and tomorrow's a new year, man. Just like that, Archie.
That's it. Peace, man. That's it. Perfect.
All
Thank you,
right.
Tom. Appreciate you all and the families.
Yeah. So we almost hit an hour. It's 58 minutes right here, guys. Go back and watch our past episodes if you want to get some. You got some time to kill, guys, and you need a little podcast to listen to. Just like that. So, our next guest, I'm not going to reveal, but we have a couple really good guests lined up, Archie. So, I'll talk to you about it on probably Monday, my brother.
All right, Tom. Thank you. Have a great night. Have a safe night. Peace.
Everybody else out there, I love you, and you guys be careful out there. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Archie.